Hi there, and welcome to Tia Sách. Nexus, a brief history of information networks from the Stone Age to AI. Author, Yuval Noah Harari. Now, let's take a moment to listen to the introduction. Who controls our stories? From ancient stone tablets to books and the printing press, each innovation transformed how humans create and share stories. These shifts didn't just spread knowledge, they shaped governance, culture, and power itself. Today, we face another seismic change: the rise of computers, the internet, and artificial intelligence, AI. This technological revolution dramatically reshapes our information networks, raising urgent questions. Are we unleashing a power we can no longer manage? Can we reduce its risks? Yuval Noah Harari highlights a subtle yet profound danger posed by AI. Not that it might replace jobs or become hostile, but that it could dominate the narratives we rely on. Stories have always been central to human society. But now, algorithms increasingly control which stories we see, share, and believe, potentially surpassing human influence. Throughout history, those who controlled information also controlled power. AI could represent the ultimate shift. Humans losing their grip over storytelling, the essence of civilization. Understanding and responsibly managing this shift may be our greatest challenge yet. End of the introduction. Who controls our stories? And now, let's begin with Tia Sách 1, the relationship between information and power. Information and power have always walked hand in hand, shaping human history with each technological breakthrough. First came writing on stone and clay tablets, allowing ancient societies to keep records and codify laws. Then, handwritten books spread knowledge across generations and regions, shifting society away from relying solely on oral storytelling. Later, the printing press democratized information, transforming culture and governance on a massive scale. Yet history urges caution. Goethe's poem, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, captures a deep truth about humanity's troubled relationship with power. In the poem, a young apprentice, eager to prove himself, uses his master's magic to animate a broom so it will fetch water for him. Soon, however, he loses control of the spell, causing chaos as the broom relentlessly continues its task. In desperation, the apprentice tries to stop it by splitting the broom in two. But instead of ending the spell, each fragment transforms into a new broom, multiplying the chaos. Ultimately, the master sorcerer returns to put things back in order. Our reality reflects this pattern. Humanity has repeatedly summoned enchanted brooms, forces we fail to control. Climate disruption, destructive technologies like drones and AI, and dangerous ideologies like fascism, all emerged from our collective networks. In 1930s Germany, most citizens weren't fascists individually, yet their collective network elevated Hitler. Networks shape societies, with information as their binding force. However, reality differs sharply from Goethe's comforting narrative. There is no wise magician waiting to undo our errors, no singular hero to save us from the unintended fallout of our collective actions. Instead, humanity must confront and take responsibility for the consequences of the powerful forces we ourselves unleash. Today, as we confront another revolution, the rise of artificial intelligence, we risk unleashing yet another uncontrollable force. More information hasn't always led to wiser choices. Despite vast data, we still damage our planet and foster conflicts. To avoid repeating past mistakes, we must rethink how information and power interact. Understanding networks, how information moves through them, and how we might channel these forces responsibly is crucial. This is the end of our Tia Sách 1, the relationship between information and power. Tia Sách 2, the power of shared stories. Humans aren't unique because we cooperate. Bees and ants do that too. We're special because we cooperate on a massive scale, driven by shared stories. Other animals build hives or hunt in groups. But only humans create nations, religions, or ideologies. We don't even need to know each other personally to cooperate. We just need to share the same story, like the Bible, democracy, or even Bitcoin. Indeed, information connects and organizes us. It turns scattered individuals into unified groups by giving them common stories, ideas, and beliefs. These stories don't need to be objectively true to influence us. In fact, some of the most powerful stories humans believe aren't true at all. Instead, they gain their strength from how compelling and emotionally resonant they are. There are three types of reality. The first is objective reality. Facts that remain true whether we believe them or not, like gravity or calories in food. The second is subjective reality, our personal experiences, like enjoying pizza or disliking rain. The third, and most powerful, is intersubjective reality. Stories that large groups collectively believe, nations, currencies, laws, and even human rights, exist primarily because we collectively believe they do. For example, Bitcoin had no intrinsic value in 2010, when 10,000 Bitcoins bought 2 pizzas for $41. Now that same amount of Bitcoin is worth nearly $690 million, not because Bitcoin itself changed, but because millions agreed to believe in its value. Powerful leaders throughout history, kings, emperors, and popes, didn't gain their influence just from charisma or strength. They gained it by embodying powerful stories. Modern influencers function the same way, shaping society through the stories they represent. Societies rely heavily on these shared stories for social order. Take early America, for example, where the institution of slavery was not only widely accepted but actively justified through a dominant cultural narrative, one that portrayed slavery as natural, even necessary. This narrative was so deeply embedded in society that it was written into the U.S. Constitution itself, shaping laws and policies that protected and sustained slavery for generations. Kings ruled by divine right, another widely believed story. Today's nation-states are built on similar collective beliefs, not on objective truths. There's a common misconception that more information naturally means more wisdom or better decisions. Others cynically believe information is always a tool of manipulation. Reality sits between these extremes. Information networks serve two purposes: revealing truth and creating social order through stories. A society that prioritizes only truth risks instability, like Christian society in the Victorian era, shaken by Darwin's theory of evolution. Conversely, networks focusing exclusively on maintaining order can accumulate immense power but risk becoming oppressive, as in Stalinist Russia. Today, tech giants like Google and Meta speed up how quickly we gather information, but speed and efficiency alone won't solve our deeper challenges. To build stable, just societies, we must carefully balance the pursuit of truth and the stories that give us order and meaning. You've listened to Tia Sách 2, The Power of Shared Stories. We're now moving on to Tia Sách 3, The Double-Edged Sword of Free-Flowing Information. New technologies that accelerate information sharing amplify both truth and lies. Historically, societies that tightly control information, such as totalitarian regimes or powerful religious institutions, rely heavily on the illusion of infallibility. The medieval Christian Church portrayed itself as incapable of error, grounded in the belief of an infallible God correcting humanity's original sin. Similarly, fascist regimes position themselves as flawless leaders, insisting that the nation's survival and greatness depended on unwavering obedience to a single supreme authority. They portrayed the leader as a visionary beyond reproach, whose instincts were always right. Both systems limited information flow to protect their narratives from scrutiny. The opposite of these closed systems is an open market of ideas. Ideally, this openness would reveal errors and replace falsehoods with truth. Johannes Gutenberg's invention of the printing press in the 15th century illustrates both the promise and peril of such openness. Before Gutenberg, Europeans had painstakingly copied texts by hand, producing roughly 11 million volumes over 1,000 years. In just 46 years after the press's invention, printers produced over 12 million volumes, dramatically transforming the spread of information. Initially, this seemed revolutionary. Ideas from thinkers like Galileo and Copernicus spread quickly, laying groundwork for the scientific revolution. But rapid information flow wasn't always enlightening. Alongside groundbreaking discoveries circulated dangerous misinformation. One notorious example was Heinrich Kramer's Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches. Kramer, a disgraced inquisitor obsessed with conspiracy theories, wrote a manual claiming witches were agents of Satan intent on destroying humanity. His book became an instant bestseller, fueling paranoia across Europe and resulting in tens of thousands of innocent people being persecuted and executed as witches. Thus, the printing press didn't immediately create a golden age of reason. 2 centuries passed between Gutenberg's invention and the true dawn of scientific inquiry. Meanwhile, superstition thrived, showing that easier access to information doesn't guarantee wisdom or truth. Instead, misinformation can spread even faster and wider than reliable facts, often with devastating consequences. How then can societies tilt toward truth? Institutions are critical. They themselves must be able to admit mistakes and regularly self-correct. Consider science. Its authority doesn't come from claiming perfection but from openly correcting its own errors. Psychiatry's DSM manual, for example, is revised every decade, evolving as new evidence emerges. Eugenics, once widely accepted and even used to justify atrocities, was eventually discredited by scientific institutions admitting past errors. Today, we're living through another major revolution in information. Artificial intelligence. Like the printing press, AI rapidly accelerates information spread, making truth and falsehood harder to separate. History warns us that freely accessible information alone isn't enough. Without robust, self-correcting institutions committed to truth, we risk repeating past mistakes, amplifying misinformation, conspiracy theories and dangerous beliefs. And that brings us to the end of Tia Sách 3, the double-edged sword of free-flowing information. Tia Sách 4. We don't value truth, so AI doesn't either. We live in an age where knowledge spreads rapidly. Thanks to smartphones, social media, and now artificial intelligence, everyone can instantly share ideas worldwide. Intuitively, easier access to information seems positive for freedom and democracy. But history and recent events warn us it's not that simple. As discussed in the last Tia Sách, when Johannes Gutenberg created the printing press, information exploded. Later, in the 1940s, computers emerged. Large machines were initially built for complex math. Visionaries like Alan Turing foresaw these computers evolving far beyond calculations, eventually matching human intelligence. Today, their descendants, smartphones, blockchain technology, social media, and AI have transformed our lives, shaping how we communicate, think, and act. Yet more information doesn't always mean more truth. Humans naturally prefer compelling stories over factual accuracy, which makes the rise of AI deeply concerning. AI-generated stories can mimic human emotion convincingly, creating the illusion of empathy and authenticity. Unlike humans, however, AI doesn't inherently care about truth. As AI improves at pretending to think and feel like us, it becomes even harder to recognize this difference. This illusion of authenticity risks distorting reality, manipulating beliefs and deepening divisions. Consider Myanmar during the Rohingya crisis of 2016 to 2017. Facebook initially helped democratize information after decades of strict government control. But its algorithm soon promoted fake news, conspiracy theories, and hate speech against the Rohingya minority. Facebook's engagement-driven design amplified extremist content, fueling real-world violence. Thousands died, and tens of thousands were displaced. This tragedy revealed how algorithm-driven networks can rapidly spread dangerous misinformation, triggering devastating consequences. Today, we're entering a new era where AI doesn't just amplify content, it creates it. Imagine AI systems independently writing articles, distributing them, tagging them as fake news, or interpreting them as crises, triggering immediate financial and political reactions. All this could happen in seconds, without any human oversight or intervention. Historically, each new technology, stone tablets, printing presses, radios, changed how we shared information. But computers differ fundamentally because they can produce, interpret, and circulate information independently of humans. Unlike stone tablets, which simply stored data, or radios, which broadcast content, selected by people, AI can autonomously generate and manage narratives. This gives computers unprecedented power within information networks, increasingly outperforming humans in understanding and manipulating the flow of information. To prevent potential disaster, we must actively prioritize truth in our information systems. Harari suggests 2 key steps: deliberately promoting accurate information, and maintaining decentralized networks where different groups can freely challenge misinformation. Truth should guide our use of AI, not just convenience or engagement. This is end of Tia Sách 4. We don't value truth, so AI doesn't either. And now we come to the final Tia Sách, when AI surpasses our understanding. We're rapidly building AI systems that might soon outpace our capacity to understand or control them. Humans have traditionally shaped society through shared stories, laws, currencies, social structures, that we collectively believe in. But AI is set to surpass humans at managing and even creating these powerful narratives, marking an unprecedented shift in how societies operate. Consider Move 37, a groundbreaking moment from a historic 2016 match of the Chinese board game Go. Google's AI, AlphaGo, made an entirely unexpected move against world champion Lee Sedol. This move went against centuries of human strategy. AlphaGo not only beat Sedol, it beat him in a distinctly non-human way, demonstrating AI's ability to comprehend complexities beyond human grasp. Humans naturally prefer simple, compelling stories. We often ignore complicated truths because they're difficult or uncomfortable. AI, by contrast, can effortlessly handle massive amounts of information, spotting patterns and relationships humans miss. One AI might analyze market trends, another might study legal precedents, while thousands more interpret subtle connections across various fields simultaneously. This gives AI an unprecedented advantage in making sense of complex systems such as financial markets or legal frameworks, sometimes in ways we can't even follow. This capability creates serious risks. The more we rely on AI to understand our world, the less we personally grasp the reasoning behind critical decisions affecting our lives. This reliance threatens human agency. For example, Eric Loomis's 2013 criminal case highlights these dangers vividly. Loomis was sentenced using Compass, an AI system that predicted his risk of reoffending. Neither Loomis nor his lawyers could understand or question the algorithm's decision. This lack of transparency raises profound ethical concerns. How can we correct AI's mistakes if we don't know how it makes its decisions? Opaque AI systems could severely damage public trust in democratic institutions. Democracy depends on transparency, accountability, and checks on power, qualities AI decision-making often lacks. Algorithms now influence who goes to jail, who gets hired, and who is admitted to universities. If people can't trust or understand these decisions, conspiracy theories and distrust flourish. This erosion is already visible in current political conflicts, such as disputes over election results. Yet AI isn't inherently harmful. Its outcomes depend entirely on how we deploy it. Harari suggests deliberately designing AI to preserve human values and decision-making. We should train AI to express uncertainty, ask for human input, and acknowledge its limitations. AI's role should support human judgment rather than replace it, ensuring humans maintain ultimate control and understanding. We have just completed Tia Sách 5, when AI surpasses our understanding. Now, let's review the book together with the final summary. Historically, each technological advancement, from Mesopotamian writing to Gutenberg's printing press to modern computing, reshaped society profoundly. These technologies provided vast power, but not necessarily wisdom or stability. Just as the Industrial Revolution brought incredible progress alongside environmental harm and social upheaval, AI could create similar benefits and dangers. We must recognize that just because we can create powerful technologies doesn't mean we always should. Unlike the sorcerer's apprentice, who unleashed chaos by recklessly wielding power he didn't understand, humanity has the chance to pause, reflect, and act thoughtfully. If we are careful, we can guide AI's extraordinary power responsibly, rather than being overwhelmed by it. We have just listened to the summary of the book Nexus, A Brief History of Information Networks from the Stone Age to AI, by Yuval Noah Harari. Thank you for being here. See you next time.